in the desk.
Oh, getting it ready for you?
That's Sebastian's.
Oh, is that a Bugatti?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, where's mine on that? Oh, there we go. Get it on the right thing.
Hello?
Yeah, I mean, we have audio, so we're good.
Yep. There you go.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the show. Oh, sit back.
Welcome to the movie theater.
Oh, yeah. Got popcorn.
Good.
Got the popcorn. It's got the hot sauce. Yeah, you're going to need one of these, man.
I know.
I'm just going to help you out.
That's it.
And milk duds. Who doesn't love milk duds? I mean, you know, your teeth don't like milk duds. At all. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot.
Hot sauce? That's right.
Now, if
That's
this goes
right.
out without a hitch, I'll be impressed, because
What's that?
if this actually works this whole time, like, I'll be super impressed. Because
Yeah, normally I put more hot sauce, but that's good.
that was nice of Sue to get us bowls.
Sue's the best.
Sue is the best. And they're disposable, too. We don't have to keep them.
I know. I'm gonna keep it.
Alright, so hey guys, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you join us on that date right there, October 23rd. That's this Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for
That's right.
Kicker on Mass. The whole purpose behind doing this is so that, well, we can already start thinking about Kicker and all the cool things that Kicker does for us. If you're not a Kicker fan, that's okay. It's car audio. Car audio is cool, and we get to have some fun with car audio. So we hope you guys enjoy this. If you haven't seen this video before, well, it's time to watch it. Now keep in mind, like we said, we'll stop periodically just to kind of go over what's happening in the scene, a little behind the scenes action. This first scene that you're going to see as the... Oh, wow. Oh, I'm bleeding. Oh, wonder what happened there. Anyways, this first scene you're going to see as the movie starts.
Yep.
I had just got the new DJI Osmos.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we bought that because we thought that'd be the coolest thing in the world? And so I'm chilling out in the airport, and I was playing with it because we'd just gotten it. We hadn't done anything with it. Come to find out, the DJI Osmos kind of saved my butt on this trip, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But this is me just playing with it, and actually turned out to be a great beginning to the show. So without further ado, I'm going to switch over to the other camera, and let's start this thing.
All right.
Let us know how the sound is and all that other fun stuff too. We're back at Kicker. When we were here a year ago, we had a ton of fun. We took you guys along. We learned a lot of new stuff. It was a great time. This year, when they asked me if I wanted to come back, it's like, yes, of course I do. And I have ideas. This journey, we're gonna do things a little different. We're gonna take you to places that, well, you might not even know exist, and show you things that you definitely didn't know were here. So join me today as we go back into the Kicker headquarters on the Kicker campus and show you some really neat stuff and hopefully meet some really cool people. So let's head inside. Alright, so real quick, the music that you're hearing in the background is from composer Fernando here. This was some stuff I had him put together because I needed something I could loop along, and also I needed something that was DRM free just in case Kicker decided to use it.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
One other thing too is, like, you see the front of the building. This building is massive, like massive. Supposedly the rumor is if you walk around the whole thing, it's like a mile. So next time I go there, I definitely want to do that. This, of course, is the area that you as a consumer, or anyone for that matter, can go in. Not right now because it's closed, but this is the museum that's open we're going to see more of that later as we when we talk to one of the other gentlemen. There's a bunch of cars out here, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just want to buzz it because the L7s, just like a wave,
Yes.
in there, it's so cool. Like
They move.
So literally.
Yeah. She's got a button. You saw the lady sitting behind the counter. There's a
Yep.
button, and she presses them. They start doing this. They start breathing.
That would be cool if they start moving like
I
this.
thought when they said they moved, that's what I thought too.
You know,
I
like,
was like,
oh, that is so cool.
I'm like,
That would be cool.
they're not moving, and they're like, no, they breathe, and I was like, oh, so the wires that actually suspend them are electrically charged, and those are hooked up to the voice coil.
Nice.
So they can oscillate. Also, the gentleman that just opened the door for us is Joe Hobart. Who's been on the show before, but he is one of the engineers. I think he might be the head of engineering now, or definitely. Okay, I don't know what his job title is, but it's pretty high up there as far as engineering goes. So we have him to thank for the quad box and the 2100 and all the secrets that we know about Kicker. I'm just saying. All right, hit it. Yes, they are definitely privately owned. How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Woohoo!
Excited to let you break stuff today.
I'm good at it, apparently. These are the rest of the guys getting some training. Next stop is tech support. We want to take a look and see all the tools and resources that they. Alright, I know, we're getting like 5 minutes into this and we've already stopped like a dozen times. So this scene is funny. So basically what I'll do is I'll explain what happens. I go in and I talk to the person that I'm going to interview and kind of calm them down a little bit because they're super nervous. They're super like, oh God, this is going to be crazy. And then I go outside and I film the intro like this. Definitely top notch, yes. So the funny part is why I'm filming this whole little intro. I'm just talking to myself. There's nobody around, and I feel goofy as hell, but it's okay. I do it all the time. One of the vice presidents, lady, walks up.
Okay, yeah.
Who are you and what are you doing?
What do you have a camera?
What are you? Yeah, I'm like,
what are you filming?
Yeah. She's freaking. It starts freaking out on me, and I'm like, I'm Dean. It's okay. Lori's inside. Oh. You're that guy. All right, go ahead. And it was the funniest thing. She goes, don't film me.
Why, you don't see that was the gun behind her.
Oh, yeah, dude, trust me.
I'm going to shoot you.
Oh, right where now. I was? So if you can notice right there behind my hand,
yep.
That's a pool table. I'm sorry, that's a ping pong table.
Yeah, yep.
So that's a Kicker-built ping pong table. There's a whole bunch of marine speakers and all that stuff around it. It is so cool.
So people, they play there?
I guess. I don't know.
All right.
All right, go on. Available to help you guys when you have issues. Let's head inside and talk to Jacob. Here with Jacob. How long have you been working with Kicker?
I've been here for about 3 years.
How long have you been tech support?
6 months.
6 months in tech support. Has it been a real
There was a really steep learning curve when I first got over here. I started out in the warehouse. When I started here, I didn't know a whole lot about speakers, and just talking to people around here, you've got a lot of resources to learn. So if you want to move up, you sure can. I started out in customer service, and I had to learn a few things about the product to really get rolling. And then I started looking for more opportunities, so I came over to tech support.
So that's an interesting thing. There's tech support and there's customer service. What's the difference between the two?
Customer service really handles the warranty side of things. When somebody calls, they get a hold of us. If they think they have a product issue, we'll troubleshoot with them and determine whether or not it is a product issue. If it's something wrong, with their setup, they've got too small wire or something, that's an easy fix on their part. If it's an amplifier problem and it can't be resolved over the phone, then I'll transfer them down to customer service. They'll get them taken care of, handle the warranty, and we can repair the amp for them.
Because you do that in-house?
Yeah, we do.
And when you were talking about the woofers, the cool thing is you can actually just go downstairs and talk to the engineers, the designers, because they're here on the campus.
Yeah, if you've got a specific question about something or something that none of the guys up here know, you can just go down exactly and talk to the engineers.
And then call them back. That is one of the really unique features about this campus. us is that the guy that designed it is here, so we can easily just go talk to him if we need to. Let's take a look at the software that we have available to us. So someone calls up and they have a problem, let's say like a kicker key, or anything for that matter. Where is the first place you typically start?
I've got this all laid out on my desktop just for ease of access. We've got a drive where we share all of our folders across the company. We've got access to the tech specs folder. There's several different folders I can check out. You know, if it's about one of our VSS kits, I've got a folder for that. If it's about motorcycle products, marine, even aftermarket, or if they've got questions about integration, we've got a folder for that.
Do you log the calls so that if someone called previously with the problem, you have access to that type of information?
Yes, we use Microsoft Teams. We've got a page where if somebody's having an issue, we have questions about it, we can post it there, try and correlate it with other issues that some of our other tech guys, they're having a similar issue. We can communicate on Teams and work out whether or not it's something we need to check out.
So let's run through like a basic, I have a problem, something that you would typically do.
Somebody calls with the key amplifier. There are two different ways to run the auto setup. You can either bi-amp it or run it on 4 full-range speakers.
We had, on the show the other night, we had a viewer ask, doing a Dodge Ram, and I have a 6x9 in the door, and I have the 2.5 in the dash, and I run the kicker key to that scenario. So my suggestion. So if you're listening like in headphones like we are, you might hear some voices in the background, and one of them, which you'll see in a minute here, is Lori. They had just got this facility built, so if you'll notice that door frame behind us, there's no door there because there was no doors anywhere on there. So she's actually in one of the offices, and they're talking, and I finally had to get up and go like, hey guys, we can't shut the doors. Can we shut our mouths?
Did you lower the volume?
Yeah. So they had actually just built that whole wall there, and the company that built it did a terrible job.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, it was freaking hilarious. They had to, like, none of this stuff, none of the metal, none of it lined up. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was somebody's cousin or something, but they were having to come back out and do it all over again. All right, hit play.
All right.
Remember, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask about, you know, about the video or there or anything like that, and we'll answer them. Would be to call you. Now they're calling you. Let's go through the steps on how we're going to figure that one out.
We've got some resources available to us. If we want to know specifically that scenario, if you can run a 2.5 inch, then we'll check out aftermarket car audio. You'll go to amplifiers, click on the key amp, and then check out the key white paper, and then you can kind of look through here. Let's see, so there's the 4-inch system setup. We want to look at bi-amping it. It says here it sends a signal out to determine if you have only tweeters or a smaller full-range speaker connected to amp 1. If it's a tweeter, it'll apply a certain crossover frequency to both speakers on amp 1 and amp 2. If it's not a tweeter, it'll apply a 24 dB per octave high-pass crossover at 320 Hz to amp 1 and 640 to amp 2. It looks like it'll work with smaller full-range speakers.
So for him, he'd be perfectly fine grabbing a kicker key, throwing it in there, and he'd be rocking and rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on average, how many phone calls do you get a day?
Really depends on the day. Usually Mondays are our busiest.
Because everyone had a wonderful weekend where they're just slamming that stuff
Yeah.
in, and they're like, oh man, it didn't work.
Exactly. Usually it's probably about 30, 35 calls.
How many tech support guys are there?
There's 5 of us.
How many are on staff on an average?
Usually all 5 of us. Occasionally one of us will be out maybe like 1 day a week.
5 tech support guys.
Yeah, there's 5 of us for the
Wow.
whole company.
Let's say you get a question that you really need to get hands-on product for. Can you guys do that?
Yeah, we sure can.
Let's do that. Hands-on, my kind of thing. Oh, hey, it's nice to meet you. What do you do here?
Hi, I'm Travis. I'm the technical support manager.
Oh, cool. So this is your... Okay, this guy's the nicest guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He was scared shitless.
Well, everybody's scared about.
Oh, no, by the way, there's Lori right there.
That's Lori right there
Lori.
saying like, okay.
Yep. And you can see it's very casual. She's wearing flip-flops. I mean...
Well, I mean...
Yeah.
No, but like you said, this guy was scared.
Oh, yeah.
Normally everybody scares when they see a camera. It's like...
Oh, yeah. He was not ready for this.
He's like,
I'm like, dude, you can do it, bro. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. No, his name wasn't Randy. Oh, it might have been Randy Travis.
Maybe.
I don't know. Watch it back later. Go.
Department. Yes, sir.
You got a lot of neat stuff going on here. What do we have?
Well, we have the ability to test all new products coming out to the field, so we have a good understanding on how they work, how they operate, how they're supposed to function, and if we have any questions or any thoughts or concerns, we can get with the engineers downstairs and we can get some more information so we can be well versed. And
So these are all hooked up.
Yep.
For us, we have Fernando's car, which we call a test lab, and inside of it we have power distribution, ground distribution, the ability to test equipment. I see you have a kicker key in your hand. We were just talking about that. If you run into a problem on the phone, you can come in here and immediately try to replicate the issue that someone's having.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's cool.
We have the Anderson connector, and we have a different source unit, so we don't have to do.
All right, hang on. Yeah, let's make it clear. This is
from 2019 when we were all healthy, safe, and you know.
And everybody can hug and kiss and
living the Vida Loca.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Connect the whole test bench. We can get it done pretty quickly and easily.
So we have a Q class hooked up here with the software running, so if someone calls with a software issue, you guys can immediately come in here and see if you can replicate the issue here.
And if someone has a tune that they're having problems with, they can email us the file and download it onto here. We can take a look at it and we can see if they've got some goofy boost. And then see if there's something that we can correct.
So you have the iPad hooked up here. Is that so that you can stream it off of this guy?
Yep, we can stream it into that or the KMC 20.
Is there like wires and stuff somewhere?
Well, there are, but they're all hidden the way they should be.
Oh, so we keep
they're all back behind there.
We keep it clean like a lab.
That's right.
It's a laboratory. If you guys come out with new products, do they give you those? I mean, other than just like the white papers and the tech support, do you guys get access to that immediately so that you, because obviously you're going to be getting questions on it. Is this where you would bring the product?
It is. We try to reach out and stay in communication when there is new samples coming in. We try to get ahead of the curve and bring them in here, hook them up, test them, play with them, make sure all of our tech support guys are knowledgeable about the product.
So this is cool because we have access to amplifiers and whatnot, but I see subwoofers down here. How do you guys address issues when someone calls with a subwoofer problem? So let's say I bought the new L7T, I want to build a box for it. Can you guys help people with that?
Sure, if someone calls in with a box question or if they want to know how it's going to respond in an application, we have the software to model it up, see what the frequency response is going to look like, and kind of give you an idea on how it's going to perform.
Let's take a look at that. All right, well, Jacob, I'm back. What are we looking at?
This is basically a model of our 46 L7T 12-inch enclosure. And this software is all in metric, so when we use it, we have to convert everything over. It's in our pre-made factory-built enclosure with a...
The wedge?
Yeah, the wedge, exactly.
Okay.
So it's in a 0.66 cubic feet. So we just punch that in here for the airspace. We chose sealed box type. And then we can actually go in here and enter in the TS parameters. You can enter your impedance, your moving mass, and then this software actually takes it all together based on the power output and
how much
RMS.
power you have
how
going
much
there?
power you have in RMS and the distance you're listening at it, and it'll show you the frequency response curve. It gives you a rough estimate of the dBs you're looking at a set distance in meters. So this will be at 2 meters in the factory sealed enclosure.
So about 7 feet.
Yeah.
What? How much power you got going to it?
This is on 900 watts RMS.
That's a lot of power, though. Will that woofer eat that?
In a sealed box, man, I've actually got mine in my vehicle running on 900 watts.
So you have the shallow T in yours?
Yeah, I do.
So if you run into a setback while you're installing some of your kicker products, call tech support. They have guys that are here to help you get through the process a little bit easier. Before we say farewell, let's head back over his computer, because obviously talking on the phone is nice, but what if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you want to have access to some of this? They have some pretty cool tools on their website. You'll notice there's this tab. Tech support, click on it.
Here we've got all sorts of stuff for you to work with. We have
Test
tones if you want to set your gains. Then down here we've got tech videos. So we have product training stuff, software in case, like if you need to download your tweak software for your IQ amplifiers, this is where you can find it. We've got manuals here for almost all of our products. If you've got an old subwoofer or an old amplifier, odds are you can find the manual on the website. We've got a tech papers tab, which if you check it out, you've got all sorts of stuff about alternators, box designs, crossovers, pretty much anything you were looking for.
And this is the stuff we talk about on the show a lot, is that Kicker does a really good job at providing resources that don't necessarily just apply to their products, apply to other people's products as well. It's just a general car audio knowledge. All right, well, thanks for taking your time out of your day and showing me what you do and showing them the resources that they have available to them at Kicker.
Yeah, anytime.
When you're a company as big as Kicker, you're going to get... All right, real quick, a couple questions popping up. As far as the Kicker key question, the 501 on the downfiring box. Right now, I have a Kicker key 501 in Haley's car powering the L7T, and it's just hammering the crap out of that, so I'm pretty sure it'll do the other woofer just fine. As far as the museum goes, that whole tour around the museum is coming on a little bit later. We're going to show that once we get to the install bay, where we talk to them about what they're doing in the install bay. That it? That gets us up to speed?
Yep.
Let's keep rolling.
Other than that, I really love how's the website on Kicker.
Oh, a lot of information.
Because it's a lot of information. And some people, they don't want to just call. You can go to the website and find all these test tones and sheets, everything in there.
It's okay, Bobby. You're here now. All right. Sent back for return. Blown speakers, amplifiers that may not be working properly. We're gonna head into the department that handles all that. We're gonna go meet up with Lance. We're here with Lance. All right, I'm not gonna back it up, but behind Lance was a camera as I was walking in. Right after I shot this, right before I shot this scene right here, the ball head went bam! My camera smacked on the ground.
Oh, that's when you dropped.
That's when I broke, So it broke my camera. It smashed the microphone right into the side of the camera. Cost me $280 to get fixed. So these were the only scenes I got to shoot with the brand new, that was the M50.
The M50.
So it was like literally we took it here, we shot this, and that's where the DJI came in handy, because that was my new second camera.
Yeah.
Because we shot everything with 2 cameras, and of course I broke the one right away. And even though the mic it wouldn't film anymore, so it was kind of sucky. But this is fun. I love this scene because I love watching. I wish I could see the faces when they start cutting these woofers apart. Oh, it's priceless. Go ahead. Lance, what do you do? What's your job title?
Welcome all. This is warranty processing. This is where everything comes in that has been sold in the U.S. Basically everything is shipped directly here to Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Well, we're here because we want to take a look at the process. Let's get to it.
Okay, this is the start of the whole process right here. We have the freights where packages come in. Andrew, he would be unboxing this product, getting it ready for the first station for our verifying receipts and then onto our diagnosis. So this would be the process to start it out. Of course, this is just acoustics. Electronics are included in this process as well. To start our process, what we do is we bring this in, we're verifying everything, dealer account, under warranty, receipts, all that stuff. We do not do extensive testing like the electronic side does. So what we'll do is we'll take this product, we will do some initial visuals inspections, see what it looks like, see if there's any variance on the surrounds or anything that might make it not be covered under warranty. If everything looks good, what we'll do is we will cut this cone out and then verify what the voice coil looks like or any other defects. This process goes on throughout the line. This is the first stage, and then we'll move on to the second stage on the actual diagnosing of the product and whether it's covered or not covered.
Those are sound dampening panels for the walls to make it quiet in there. So what are you doing?
The mesh down here at the bottom, we have to cut that loose.
You know, ironically, that's called the spider.
It is called the spider. I never call it that because...
So why that's funny is because before we started filming, there was an actual spider on this woofer, and he jumped back and we're all like, what's wrong? And he's like, there's a spider in here.
I kind of crushed it before anyone got a chance to look at it. So we'll cut the spider clear, make sure all the voice coils are cut away, these little black wires, that way that they can get a good look at the voice coil and the cone itself.
You just use a razor knife for everything, huh?
Yeah, I just mainly don't like trying to sharpen this knife.
Oh, okay.
I can never seem to get it sharp enough to cut through anything, so I just use the razors.
So there we go.
There we have the cone and the voice coil.
What we have here are a couple other ones you've already taken apart. Now this goes from here over to this guy.
The diagnosing side.
And what are you doing?
Getting all the information he put in.
So you're looking at this one right now?
Yes.
So is this one a pass or a fail?
That was a pass because it was a retail account. They have a valid receipt.
Pass as far as coverage.
Pass as far as coverage.
As you noticed with some of the other woofers that we looked at earlier, some of the coils were still very perfectly intact, and then some of the coils were burnt or a little discoloration in it. That is stuff that we still cover. A lot of people have the disclaimer that we will not cover burnt voice coils.
Right.
We do though. We are very general with our standard warranty policy. So even though it may be burnt, yes, we might reach out to the dealer or consumer and say, hey, there's something going on, your voice coil is very burnt, we need to try to correct it, different amp, gains turned down, up, whatever we need to do. Whenever you see us cut this stuff out and you see a perfectly good coil, this one isn't a perfect good one, don't freak out too much, because people are like, you just destroyed a perfectly good woofer. It's the way that we verify our defects.
Well, clearly if it's back here, it's not a perfectly good woofer.
Right, exactly. Somebody sent it in for a reason. And then he will verify, you know, if it's a burnt voice coil, and then he'll add that into his diagnosing to give us reports for R&D that they look at.
Now this is a very important part of the show, what they're talking about here, because someone asked, you have to send woofers back. The reason why you have to send the woofers back is because they want to understand where the problem is. If there is, which he's explaining, if there's any issues, the cool thing about this is that, well, I don't even know what I'm talking, but this is a big bin that has all the ones with burnt voice coils in them. So if it has a burnt voice coil, it automatically just goes into the scrap bin, which I'm going to keep watching because you're going to find out what happens to those as well.
To help improve the product as we move forward.
Because the engineers are here on site, if you had, let's say, an abnormal amount of these come through, you can immediately reach out across the campus here to the engineers and be like, hey, you guys need to see this.
Right.
That's the nice thing of having everything in one spot.
Right, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Exactly, and especially with our brand new product, we make sure we get that to R&D as soon as possible because they want that information as well.
Yeah.
So they want to see it visually, just not on a report as well. They want to look at it.
Now, not every woofer just goes into the recycle bin. You actually rebuild some of the drivers.
Correct. That we throw away a bunch of structures, but we do keep our upper end structures around to rebuild. Once we get done with what we're doing, and then we stash these structures, is what we call them. We tear the coils out of them, kind of get them ready for another department, rebuild department. These guys will take these structures and then move them into the new soft goods, soft parts in it, voice coil and all that stuff. We only keep a certain amount, as you'll notice, it's kind of like our cast basket category and then a few of our other L7s that we're fixing to start rebuilding. But it's mainly our L7s is what we really focus on, our 41, our Q class, our L7Ss for now.
So this is all the cast stuff, but there's plenty of stamped steel that you guys use. What happens to all those speaker baskets?
Okay, with all the stamped steel, the stuff that we do not rebuild, we actually do recycle them. We put them in a big bin, and then we have a metal company come and pick that up, so it's not going directly to the landfill. It is being reused somewhere. Of course, they take it and grind all that stuff up, magnet, steel, all of it, and they separate it, and whatever the market has for that, they take that from us as well. We also, I mean, you guys might have seen all the cardboard that we have. Whenever we're taking all these boxes and breaking them down, we also bale that product and recycle it as well.
We just looked at the speakers. Obviously there's some amplifiers that come back. Let's head back in there and take a look at that part of the process. So as we see here, we have a stack of amplifiers. They basically come in the same way that the woofers come in.
Same process.
How you burn a voice coil? Heat. Heat is what burns a voice coil. How you get the heat? From distortion and all those other fun things. Distortion, yeah. But it's heat.
Just a little bit different since this is electronic. As I'd mentioned before, we are able to, if it is covered under warranty, we know it's going to be a replacement, that replacement could go out the door basically the same day as the acoustic woofer. Now, it still ends up going to our repair department. The process is the same, it's just a little bit lengthier. We will take this product, we do have a cutout in through our wall in between the warranty processing and the electronic repair area. We'll either stick those in the window, or if it's a big freight return, then we will put it on a skid and take it over to electronic repair.
So each thing gets logged in with this sheet of paper here, and then this follows this amplifier.
Follows the product all the way through the process, whether it's coming back to us to be boxed up as a refurb, or if it's going back to the customer, this repair tag will stay with it through the whole process.
Once it gets repaired, then it gets shipped out of here.
Correct. Once it gets repaired, it will come back over to this side of the warranty processing electronic repair area so that we can box it and get it back out to the customer.
Let's see that window that he was talking about. It's got a bunch of grids. Is that just so you can set more product here?
Set more product in here. We can separate it by dealer. If a dealer has 3, we could have, 6 or 8 different dealer returns up here to make it through, pass through the window.
Now, like everyone with idle curiosity like me, you want to know what's on the other side of the window. And if you've seen the first video we did when we came to Kicker, we actually were over there. For those of you that haven't, don't worry, we're gonna head over there. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out too, when we were walking back, a thought occurred to me when we were showing you all those subwoofers. That's about 3 or 4 months worth of subwoofers. They sit there for a while. And here we are. And of course, the one thing everyone wants to see when they come over here, you conveniently have right in front of the main entrance, is this guy right here. We have a Warhorse. And because this is repair, you gotta have it like open and able to see. One of the things I learned about the Warhorse yesterday when I was talking with Joe, which I thought was funny, that I didn't realize that these guys here are planar power supplies. Right. And I was like, those are my favorite headphones. What's going on, man? How you been?
Good. Passing the torch.
Passing the torch. So how you been?
Doing great, thank you.
Back in your neck of the woods now. You're gonna take us for another tour around your wonderful facility on repairing amplifiers.
Yes.
We're on the other side of the glass. We have an amp in the glass, so one has come over since we've gotten here. Let's take a look.
So an amplifier came in from warranty processing. Consumer amplifiers are marked with red. That indicates we need to give it priority. So every amplifier is taken apart all the way. That way, when a technician takes it to his bench, they only have to deal with electronics. They don't have to be dealing with the mechanics of it, which is taking screws out, the heat sink, and all that.
That's what all these bins are for, is these bins are going to follow that amplifier around with it.
The bins have the parts for all the amplifiers, and the ticket is what we call the documentation for where this amp came from and what needs to be done to it, what's done to it. So once an amplifier is on this line, we prioritize the red line ticket. They normally come to the very front. Because they're consumer, they need to be taken care of as quickly as possible. Normally this process in this room on this line does not take more than 24 hours.
Really?
Technicians take turn picking up amplifiers from here, take them to their test station, to their bench, like this is what Greg's doing. He's evaluating this amplifier, needs one more screw to come out of the chassis. The equipment he has is a multimeter, voltage, resistance. He has a power supply that simulates a battery, and he has a scope to look at signal and different waveforms inside the amplifier. And he has signal generator that is basically the audio. And he also has what would be a dummy load. This is 4 ohm, just to put the amp under stress. And he has certain parts that he likes to keep here that are used frequently, certain MOSFETs, outputs. And one of the things that we do not spare any money, solder iron, that is Metcal $700.
Oh yeah,
right there.
Oh yeah.
And
you teased me with that last time we were here.
yeah, it really, once you start using this, it's hard to get away from it. It's the best thing ever. It takes 10 seconds for it to get to 700 degrees.
All right, so if you guys want the best one. Go.
All right, I pause it. So that means we're gonna get one of those, right? Sorry.
I've known about him for 2 years. No. No. And of course you keep seeing Lori. She's just chilling out, having a good time in the background.
Well, she was
Well, she was my tour guide for that day. So this was filmed over 2 days? 2 or 3 days. I don't remember. I think it was 2 days. Might have been 3 days. But yeah, all right, back to the show.
Whatever. Yes, you turn it on. So here we go. Let's count. Turn it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's see if it melts solder. Oh yeah, it does melt solder. About 10 seconds, and that is Johnny on the spot heat. One of the things here is 70% of what we receive is no problem found.
70%?
70%, 7 out of 10, there is nothing.
70% of everything that comes back is no problem found. Okay?
What?
So
you're kidding.
70%. And these aren't fake numbers, these are real numbers. These are from, you know, and they, as you're gonna see, the testing they do to make sure that all these things are good is ridiculous. So if you got a bad amp, test it every way from sideways, because chances are good you might be missing something.
Well, I mean, just not just assume that's the product right away.
Well, everyone always does. I know, it's just how it is. It's not me, it's you.
Let's blame the product first.
Yeah.
All right.
wrong with them, and often it's just user error or not reading the manual, following instructions. An amplifier would be in protection because consumers hooking up to 1 ohm when it's supposed to be 2 ohm.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't put enough power in there, or sometimes they do not understand the functions of an amplifier, especially when they complicated amplifiers like the KXA amps with the Bluetooth remote gain can make an amplifier a little difficult to use.
Or a Q class.
Q class also, hooking up to iPad, computer, or something and adjusting it. If an amplifier is no problem found, we usually have 2 technicians take a look at it. So once they're done, if it's no problem found, an amplifier is placed on this shelf. It's no problem found, checked by Greg. Somebody else will have to come and get it and verify that Greg did not overlook anything. We don't want to overlook anything. Once an amplifier is deemed ready to be reassembled, we put it on this line, and these amplifiers are ready to be tested. Dave here will be testing any of these amps. Do you have anything ready to test?
So you're testing a PXA? So what is it telling you?
It's telling me it's not a good it's max power is low.
What it is that the waveform is not correct. One channel is overdriven, the other channel has only half a wave. If you adjust the input voltage down to 4 volt, not even 3 volt, it's totally not a good amp.
The top one got a little better.
So the top one is okay, the second one is not, it's just half a wave. Yeah, this amp has failed and it needs to be repaired. Most likely the crossover has something wrong with it.
This is an example of not only double but triple check.
Everything has to go through this, whether it had a problem or not have a problem. Everything has to go through the computer test, which is an audio precision machine, $20,000 machine. That what it does, it reassures us that all the specs that we write on the back of the beauty carton are met.
Now, when you're done with this, can you print off a new spec sheet?
Yes, we can. It's not going to be like this. We have on a abbreviated spec sheet.
So it's like the standard birth certificate that comes?
It is, yes.
Perfect.
So let's say we're going to print this one off. There's a birth certificate for CXA 601, had 660 watts, and that's printable for the consumer if they want to print it. If an amp comes back a second time for whatever reason, a year from now, 2 years from now, we could still have it on record still and can print the birth certificate from both times.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
If an amplifier does come back, no problem found, it's checked in, it passed.
It checks twice and then it passes the AP. Then we do audio test on it and we take it outside because we don't want to listen to an amplifier all day. That's
the 4th level of testing.
Yes, audio test, and it's right outside here. We'll go check it out. An amplifier, depending on the complaint, some customers would say an amplifier shuts down after 5 minutes of playing.
Right.
So we make sure we play it at least 5 minutes.
Right.
And we usually run at max power.
Right.
So we have here 4 L7 12-inch woofers.
Okay.
That we use this box to switch between 2 ohm and 1 ohm. And I always like to run an amplifier at its harshest condition, 1 ohm.
Balls to the wall. Now, if you're paying close attention, you did see the Solo X 18 that was next to those 412s, right? When we were in the room and he was doing the audio precision, on the other side of that display is a Warhorse that's hooked up to 4
X's.
18-inch Solo X's, and that whole display, like what Lori was leaning up against, that's a giant box, because they used to use that to test the amplifiers. They don't use that anymore, of course.
Right.
But it still plays. But yeah, now he's also going to tell you here in a minute that there's another testing area like this that's on the other side of where we were just at. So that green wall there, that's his office and the area we were at. On the other side of that is another area, and that has a whole digital area where they can generate a car. And there's sensors there so that if you're an engineer and you need to test an amplifier, you can bring it down, put it on there, plug it in, and then go back to your office and run all the testing on the amplifier. They have 4 or 6 L7 15s that have the dust cap removed. So there's just these little strips because at the time they needed to run a load, because like he's only going to play this for 5 minutes, but they want to play this thing for 20 hours. So in order for it to not basically break the building, they cut all the dust caps off of them
and
they just make this, and it's freaking hilarious. Then they have these 2 boxes that have 6x9 screwed in them.
Okay.
All right, so you screw the two. You put the 6x9s and you screw them together, so you don't have to listen to the 6x9s.
I like it.
Yeah, they have since changed that, but I can't talk about it.
We crank them up. So what I like about this test station here is I have two power supplies, 50 amperes each.
Okay.
That gives me a 100 ampere charging system, that kind of like a car alternator.
Right.
And on the back side, we go this way, I have a car battery.
Oh, okay.
So that way we have a car battery, we have a charging system, and we have a car head unit. So I turn on the amplifier, and to make sure that it runs, I turn off the charging system, and it continues to run on the battery power, and I monitor the voltage here. It's running at 12 volts, and that battery is going to drain pretty quick, like in about 5 minutes.
Yes.
Because I'm not charging at all.
So you're putting in a worst case scenario application.
Exactly. So I'm trying to make this amp run at 11 volts.
So you're trying to break it.
I'm trying to.
All right. They
sell Charmin toilet paper,
everything in Walmart.
iPhones, Samsung phones, Sony TVs.
It doesn't matter, man.
So what you're basically saying is they sell amazing things out of Walmart.
Correct. They sell things that you can use every single day.
Did you ever blow the dust caps off of the old kickers? Fortunately, I didn't sell kicker when that happened. We sold Rockford, and yeah, we blew those things apart because they had glue issues. So the cone would literally separate.
And I'm sorry. The cool thing about this is like they put these amplifiers in the worst case scenario.
Oh yeah,
just to actually mimic what
they'll run that thing for 20. Oh, good place to stop. See the microwave?
Yes.
Okay, see the toaster and all that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I thought that was a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, no. So what happens is they get all kinds of crap that gets sent back to them.
Okay.
Okay? Refrigerators, ovens, dishwashers, microwaves.
Oh, yes, I remember you told me.
They just store the shit because it's like, technically it came to the wrong place. So one day, a couple of the warehouse guys thought it'd be fun to just see how much of an apartment they could build with all the equipment they had. So they literally took a corner of the warehouse, which you would never miss because the place is so giant, and built a whole kitchen.
Really?
Built a whole kitchen.
Okay, so now the question is, did they know that they don't claim back those
No, but they just don't care. UPS, they just don't care.
Oh, okay.
It's just... See, the thing is like a lot of that stuff will come from like Best Buy, Circuit City, or Walmart. Well, previous Circuit City,
right?
Like Walmart. Walmart just the guys loading pallets up to send back for repair, and they don't pay attention, so they just get this stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Run it at its harshest conditions, at its worst conditions possible.
So if it passed this test,
yes, it ran at 11 volt, 10.5 volt, 11 volt on a battery by itself at 1 ohm. Pushing all these woofers for as long as we need to. Sometimes we run them for 2-3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, the customer says, well, it shuts off every now and then, so we have to run it for a really long time. We have another cart that actually runs off a car. It has jumper cables.
Over on the other side.
Yeah.
Yes.
We put jumper cables to a car battery and start the engine to listen for engine noise or possible distortion from a car engine. We do everything we can, make sure that the amplifier is free of problems. It doesn't do us any good to ship an amplifier back to a customer if it has a problem. And if there's a doubt about any amplifier, if this one blinked or had any hitch, I will not send it back to a customer, I will replace it. We always want to make sure that they get the best product out of here.
So next we wanted to head into a part of the facility that I've really been looking forward to. It's called Special Projects. What makes Special Projects so unique is it's actually where they do all the building of the vehicle. All the cars that are up front in the museum, they've built them here in this location, and all the cars that tour around. And it's called Special Projects because, as you'll see, they don't just build cars. They build all kinds of neat stuff. So let's head inside. So today we're gonna get our tour from Randy. How you doing?
How's it going?
What's your title here?
I'm Special Projects Manager.
So you're in charge of the motley crew of this?
Yes. This is my gig.
It's awesome. Well, as I walked in, I saw this miniature like sound wall here. What do we got going on here?
One of the colleges here in Oklahoma, I don't even know which one it is, that's kind of embarrassing, but they have a pretty esteemed gaming school.
A gaming school?
Yeah, how to make video games, as far as like putting all the, you know, the
graphics
sensors on and jumping around, and then changing it to graphics and making the bodies work, and sound, and all the different editing and programming that's involved with it. They want sort of a test room, but also maybe a room that you could do competitions in. So they came to us, our owner and some of the other people that graduated from this school company got together and said, hey, what if we did something really cool? Then Kip got involved. Now we're doing 14 Vented L7 Q-Class 15s.
Holy God.
I don't even remember how many watts. We had a lot of watts, and then it was going to take them many months to build those amps, so now it's like more than that watts, so that we could get it faster and get it proper timing.
So what are you going to put up here on the bar?
We're going to do 11-inch cans. We're going to do 2 on each side. We're going to do 2 hanging. We're doing an 80-inch TV.
Wow.
And then they have a whole console that they can do all sorts of mixing of the games while they're building them, and then they can actually go back and listen and see what they're doing. The room this is going to go in is going to be 10 feet wide, 20 feet deep, 8 feet tall. And that is almost literally 8 feet tall, to give you an idea.
I don't want to be in that room. Well, I mean, I do want to be in that room.
It's going to be super crazy, yeah.
Holy cow.
So, you know, we've done our boom room in the XRV. We've got the I don't know what we call it anymore, the boom system up front. Then we have this, I guess. It's going to be another boom something. Maybe a college boom room. I don't know what it's going to be called.
One of the big things right now is these little quad runner vehicles. You guys have one in here that you're updating. You put the original system in it, and now that there's new louder stuff, you're going to be updating this one. What's going in this one, or what's in this one and going into this one?
So yeah, originally this had what I like to call the Stewie heads, because I can never remember the model number of them. They look a lot like Stewie's head. If you know who Stewie is.
Stewie, okay, yes.
So anyhow, this is a Polaris General. It had QB8s in it, so we took those out. It still has a, what we call a Phase 5 kit that SSV Works has with us, where they provide all the enclosures and we provide the products. That system's in here, but you know, it's a General, it's bigger and gnarlier, and we're gonna make the system bigger and gnarlier.
Cool.
So now we're gonna do 4 of our 9-inch cans, and then we're also gonna do 4 of our TB8s, which is a little bit more of a multi-purpose motorcycle or UTV type speaker. It's plastic enclosure. It uses our Comp RT series woofers.
Now I saw this guy and these guys and whatever he's building over there.
We do a lot of stuff marketing wise with the Street Outlaws. Sean Ellington, a lot of people know him as Murder Nova, has a shop in Oklahoma City, and we're building that and one of these PA system brains for him, and 2 of those mid and high speakers also. We also have a freestyle guy that does a lot of bigger events, and he actually needs a PA system to promote with the fans. A lot of times he'll be at an event that already has a PA, sometimes he does not, so he needs his own. He already has a smaller system. We're going to upgrade him to a big system. His logos are all blue. He's ridden Yamaha bikes a lot. We decided to kind of custom do those for him. Yeah, we're known to do a little bit of powder coating here and there, but the actual silver kicker logo painted in there is a little bit different.
So what is this going to have in it?
That's going to have the L7S15, 5 cubic foot enclosure. I can't remember what it's tuned at. We've been building
4 of them?
Forever. He's going to have 4, yes.
Jeez,
4 of those,
man.
and then 4 15-inch mid and 4 tweeters.
All right, there you go. So
overall, he'll have around a little over 5,000 watts. Well, 3,600.
No,
about 6,000 watts on his system.
I see a lift. I see another lift. I see a bunch of toolboxes. Obviously, you built these cabinets. So is there a fab room here somewhere?
Yeah, it's over this way.
Let's take a look at the fab room.
We don't necessarily have the most high dollar of equipment, but we do a lot with it. That's for sure.
I was going to say, you guys do a lot with it. I've seen a lot of the vehicles you guys have.
These pieces that they're working on right there are for our XRV boom room, XRV being extreme recreational vehicle. We had to rebuild it. It had 1215s in it before. We're doing 1215s in it again. It was in a tornado, basically.
Oh.
It didn't tear it up like you would think when I say that, but it did cause a lot of damage on the outside of it, and we had to have a bunch of panels replaced. We literally had to have the interior taken out, all of our stuff. So we decided, hey, we're gonna do that, let's rebuild it. Let's make it better, let's freshen it up. And so these are some of the roof panels that are gonna go in it. Our CNC machine's a little bit too small for us to just slap it on the CNC and cut it, so all of this has been hand built with jigs using routers, you know, the way we used to do it.
The way we still do it. What are you talking about?
Well, Yeah.
So we got router tables over here, 2 router stations.
And then we have 2 router stations over here.
So there's 4 router stations.
Yeah, that's probably the one that gets used the most. We just, you know.
Yeah, it's the go-to. Got the big vac system all set up here.
Yeah, we actually have 2 vacuums back and back. One specifically for this, and then another double that runs this part.
Of course, you have all the welding equipment over here.
We do some metal fab around here. It goes in spurts, I guess you would say.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about the cars up front in the museum.
Okay.
How many of those have you?
I helped build all the cars in the museum.
Wow.
Me, John Myers, cast of teens, we'll say, over the last 20 years or
What's
so.
your favorite one that you helped on?
My favorite ones are the ones we just built, because they're the loudest ones we've ever built.
So you like it loud?
Yes.
So you got into this for loud.
I'm not an SPO guy, I'm a demo guy.
You're a demo guy?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means loud and just strong and attracts attention.
So, all right,
that's not, oh, what does it do with the mic down on the floorboard when you open the door just as you hit it, or which I've done all that.
Yeah. So that's a new one. So we got the SPO guy, we got. So this little car here we're looking at is actually it's from Russia.
Okay.
I can
see that.
It was built for Kicker, Russia. The whole car is fiberglass.
Wow.
So they originally made them out of metal. That got to be too expensive. So then they just took a mold, and now it's a 100% fiberglass car. And you could see the giant subwoofers that were in the back. There's also some subwoofers in the floor. But when, you know, they paid to have it back imported into the US because they wanted it back. The classic car there, of course, that one's Steve's. I mean, they're all Steve's cars. I mean, he owns everything there, but these cars change out periodically depending on what's going on. They constantly rearrange the museum. As he was saying, that's his job to be responsible for what's going on up there. But it's pretty cool. Go. The SQ guy, and we got the demo guy as a new category.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
so that's like the 90s, open the car up, go to town,
sure, yeah.
stuff.
Late 80s,
yeah. So the tweeters, the mids, everything was equally...
Exactly, yes. And when you went to a contest, you were judged
on everything.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You had to do SPL and it had to sound good.
I mean,
at the same time.
I always considered
and you got points for a nice vehicle.
It was pretty. Oh, slow down. I mean, I always considered myself more like I got it for in the SPL, but the reality of it is, no, I guess I'd be more of a demo guy because I like everything equal volume.
Yeah, but you wanted it loud. You wanted it impressive, kind of like a PA system.
Well, not now, because when you say PA system now, that scares me because that stuff it's like, whoa, everyone slow down. If you're into that, that's okay, I understand. It's just not for me.
Yeah, but you're talking about the ones that people are actually sticking in cars and the big, the real loud mids and that. Yeah, that's a little wild.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear those things from
miles.
Football field.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah, we do that, just not in cars.
These guys are the engineers. So these are the guys. Yes, every single guy here, with the exception of the guy on the end, the young, so the guy on the far right hand side. That's Joe in the background.
Yeah.
But the rest of the guys are all the engineers that design the products. So this is the crew that handles the amplifiers. So right now they're going over that whiteboard in the back. Obviously, I had to be far enough away from it so you guys couldn't see what was on it. But that is all top secret, crazy stuff, all the project that these guys are working on. And so I think it's every morning they all get together and they go over what is happening, what's going on. And as you can imagine, it was interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But this is the guys that actually design your products.
These are the guys. So the brain trust right here is through the roof. Through the roof. These guys are all freaking just like crazy smart dudes that
I can imagine
love what they do. So anyways, back to it. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the machine that you bolt the speaker into and you get all the parameters of the speaker. Now this machine is the most expensive machine in here. Okay, now you have to think about that because there's some really expensive machines in here, and this is it. This is the big daddy, but this is what's going to allow you to get all the parameters for your speaker. You know what? Let's not talk about it. Let's head inside, talk to Laura, She's gonna show us how this thing works and what it does. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
All right, so we're sitting at the desk and we have the machine here. But before we talk about the machine, let's look at the rig that the machine is going to attach to, which is this guy right here. What am I looking at?
We call it the clipple stand, but we made it here at Kicker.
So we have a laser attached to the front here.
Yes, to measure the displacement.
That's a pretty big rig. You use that for everything?
Yes, we use that from our coaxes up to like our solo X, our big woofers.
So you can put the big 18 in there?
Mm-hmm. Specifically so we could fit that in there.
So this is the actual unit here.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about it.
So this is the Clipple DA2, the distortion analyzer. We use this for all of our testing on all of our woofers and our coaxes. So we'll measure TSPs, and then we'll also do large signal testing on it, displacement measurements, also SPL, and impedance measurements, and power testing.
So how long does it typically take to do a full battery of measurements on a speaker?
It kind of just depends. Sometimes it'll be about 20 minutes. And then if we need to do more measurements, if it's like a new sample, like we're like first round,
yeah,
we do more extended testing on it.
Every speaker you guys develop, throughout the whole development process, by having this machine, it allows you to, through every step of the way, once you get a hard good, you can start doing testings on it. So once the engineers design it and it gets through all the acronym steps that you guys have, once it finally lands in your lap, you can start running it and making sure that what they thought was how it was supposed to be, it actually is.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's kind of the cool thing.
And we listen to everything too as well, in addition to testing everything. It's a major step for us.
Well, Steve listens to everything.
Everything.
Every single speaker.
And if he doesn't like it, we're not releasing it. It's got to go through the next round.
So what's the first test we're going to be doing?
Well, we just ran TSPs, so we have to get those enabled to do our large signal testing, because we'll import our moving mass, our BL, and our RCV.
So there's going to be a lot of acronyms in this that we're not all going to understand, but just bear with us and we'll, because I don't understand them much either. This, I didn't even see the woofer move, so this was a low voltage test.
Yes.
So what would that test tell us? I mean, let's look at the graph.
This is telling you your RCV, your impedance, and then your FS, your frequency, or your resonance. And then you've got like your moving mass, your BL, your KMS, like your suspension, how stiff it is, and then all your Q parameters, all that. And then there's also, depending on what the black curve is your measured, and then it predicts based on your inductance modeling what the fitted is going to be. So you can select a different modeling and it'll tell you like your inductance and stuff like that.
So one of the things I've asked everybody so far, and I forgot to ask you, what is your title here?
I'm the acoustic lab manager. I manage all of the samples coming in, and I also manage all of the test equipment and the testing.
That sounds really cool.
Yes, it is. We're going to do the large signal testing now. This is going to emulate what your speaker is doing with music. It'll show us what the suspension looks like, if it's even or not, as well as our BL and our inductance and stuff like that.
The woofer's going to move.
Yes.
Let's watch the woofer move. And then it was done. Well, that was neat. So what is that going to tell us?
It's going to show your suspension, see how if it's even or not, as well as your BL to see how it's distributed.
Okay, so what's BL stand for?
Basically, like you can kind of see it here.
Let's take a look.
You can see it's your force factor, so it's your magnetic field over your coil, basically. It shows you how far out the coil's moving. It's the BL centered around 5 millimeters out. This didn't fully run all the way. If you run the full test, it'll show it where it needs to be.
This is an abbreviated test for me. We're on the clock here, people.
Yeah.
In the long and short of it, this equipment allows you to look at every aspect of the performance of the driver that is locked into this. Pretty awesome to have this at the facility and able to do stuff. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and letting everyone see your cool tool. Next up, we're gonna head over to the amplifier guys. We're gonna talk to Ian about the AP. Now, if you caught our live show that we had with Fernando on, we showed you the AP and we showed you some of the things that they had already preset. Today, we're gonna hook up an amplifier to the AP and we're gonna look at a bunch of neat stuff. And just like Laura, let's just get inside and I'll let him tell us what we're gonna do. Hey Ian, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
So we're hanging out and we have the AP in front of us. Which amplifier do we have that we're hooked up to the AP?
Right now we have a CXA 401.
So we have a mono amplifier. So you have a digital multimeter in your hand.
That's right. We use here the Audio Precision, and this uses to measure every little bit about an amplifier. A good analogy to Audio Precision is if you recognize this is a multimeter.
Use them all the time in the bay.
Exactly. This Audio Precision is like a much more advanced one of that.
Let's take a look at it. This is the whole apparatus here that is the Audio Precision.
Yes.
And we have it connected to...
Oh.
Alright, everyone, just hold on.
Oh my gosh, man.
I hit the wrong button.
No.
I'll get back.
Even more.
Right there. Right there. Close it up. Sorry, this is what happens when I touch it. Audio Precision. Let's talk about that for a minute. So, everyone is super cool and loves the amp dyno. Okay? The amp dyno does one thing. It tells you how much power an amplifier puts out for that long. A microburst, it seems like. This tells you everything you could possibly ever want to know about an amplifier. Okay? This is also the same thing that when we were with Aziz in the service when they were doing it,
right.
The machine that they were using. They have these things all over the place. I've never seen so many APs in my life. They're everywhere. Everyone knows how to use one, but everything is done on an AP. Don't get me wrong, at the end of this, they have an amp dyno that we get to play with, but...
You can see that they have every single equipment to test.
Watch how this... Really pay attention to the AP screen when we're looking at this 400 watt amp. I got to have a lot of fun with this, and the whole idea was so that we could show you guys how an amplifier actually works and the power bands and all that other fun stuff. So I'm going to shut back up.
I like the clipboard.
That's right. We use here the Audio Precision, and this uses to measure every little bit about an amplifier. A good analogy to Audio Precision is if you recognize this is a multimeter.
Use them all the time in the bay.
Exactly. This Audio Precision is like a much more advanced one of that.
Let's take a look at it. This is the whole apparatus here that is the Audio Precision.
Yes.
And we have it connected to our monitor here. What are we going to see on the monitor today coming from our amplifier?
Well, we got a couple different tests going on today. I want to start off by showing you certain things like power, how we measure noise, how we measure frequency response, how we measure signal to noise ratio. These are kind of like the most important things of a amplifier.
Well, let's do it. Let's just hit the button and go. What are we going to be looking at first?
Let's go ahead and start out with something like frequency response. So frequency response, what we do, Audio Precision will start at a certain frequency and the AP will plot that number that it sees and it'll graph it and just go across the graph. Now we're looking at the frequency response of a subwoofer amplifier. Subwoofer amplifier really only works well under 500 hertz. As you can see here, we've got a low pass filter and a high pass filter. The high pass filter for this one is set at a certain point, and so that's why you see it rolling off at this point, and you'll see that it will not move during the next part of this test. However, the low pass filter is adjustable. So you can see right here we have a low pass filter of about 200 hertz, give or take.
It was clean all the way up to that low pass filter.
Yep. If I adjust my low pass filter on my amplifier and come back up here, and I'll keep this previous graph up so you can see, you can already see it's pulled it in.
Oh yeah.
And this allows you to change your low pass filter so it'll work more efficiently with your subwoofer. Our amplifiers, your knob can adjust it to anywhere between these two lines.
So for all you guys that want to cross your subwoofers over at 50 hertz, this is it. This is all you get.
That's it.
Because it has a subsonic filter already built into it right out of the box.
We can also change another part. This time I've put my crossover back up to 200 hertz. Now I'm going to put my bass boost up.
Ooh, bass boost.
Yes, we all like bass around here.
Yeah, yes you guys do. So this is showing us that the bass boost is centered, what, somewhere around 40,
Yeah, it's right
45 hertz?
Yeah, it's about 40 hertz, and you get about +6 gain.
This is showing you 0, 5, so a little bit above that. Yeah, 6 dB. Would you call it dB? This is dB, right?
Yes, this is dB.
If we were to have that at 50 hertz with the bass boost on, it would just be this pyramid, but you would be losing some of your bass boost because you have it crossed over so low.
Exactly. We can we can actually demonstrate
let's do it.
Here in a few moments. You should see it start deviating from its previous path.
Oh yeah, look at that. Okay.
And see, you're not getting quite as much bass out of it.
No. Now, does this show us the wattage output too while it's doing this?
You can. We reference it in dB just because it's easier for us. We can tweak it. We reference everything to 1 watt whenever we do these frequency response tests. It just kind of helps us level the playing field. If we zoom in here, we went from about 4.5 watts to about 3 watts a gain, just by shifting that low pass filter all the way down into it.
Can we try like a halfway point and see what that looks like?
Absolutely. Do you want bass boost up?
Let's leave bass boost on, because let's be honest, most people are going to run it that way. And when they say precision, they mean it. I mean, those lines are just laying on top of one another.
Oh yes, I've actually shortened this up a little bit for us for demonstration purposes. Usually we have a lot more points. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's pretty close to
the 200. So you kept all that bass boost in there, if that's what you want, and you got the better crossover point if that's what you needed.
Yeah.
Well, that looks cool. So the next test we're going to do is
signal noise ratio.
Signal noise ratio. Why is signal noise ratio so important?
So signal noise ratio is important because it helps quantify that sort of like hissing sound you hear in the background whenever you've got like no music playing at all.
So we call that floor noise.
Floor noise. Listen, there's a couple ways you can measure signal noise. First, there's the simple way, which is just in volts, just how much voltage is that amplifier putting out when there's no signal putting into it. So you can see with this 401, we've got 67 microvolts of noise. Now, microvolts doesn't mean a whole lot to you. What we like to do is we like to reference it in decibels. And there's 2 ways we can measure this in decibels. First, there's the CTA spec, which is versus 1 watt. You set up your internal references to 1 watt, and it will perform a calculation of your noise floor versus 1 watt. That way, just any amplifier you look at, whether it's a
it's all standard.
It's all across the board. You can compare apples to apples. For this one's doing minus 89 dB.
Is that good?
That's pretty good. The standard, sort of good limit is 75.
So you're well above that.
Yeah, we're well above that. And any of our products, we guarantee at least 75 or better. There's also the other way we can measure it versus its maximum power. And our maximum power, we get a much larger number, 111 at rated versus max power.
I'm assuming that's still good.
Oh, that's very good.
What are these cool little things happening here? Is this the visual of the signal noise ratio happening?
Absolutely. So this is a little bit of the noise that you're seeing just as the amplifier's on. Mostly that'll be the Class D switching noises and such like that.
So what is the amplifier playing in order to get this signal to noise ratio? Is it playing like a white noise? Is it playing, is
Nothing.
this just no noise at all? So this is you're in the room, everybody quiet.
Yeah. And then you're listening to see what you can hear.
This is all the circuits in the amplifier doing their thing.
Yes, keeping it as quiet as possible.
Wow. Next up, we're going to do one of the tests that I know you guys are going to be super psyched about, and that is power output.
Yes, power. We love power around here.
How much power is the amp supposed to have? Let's start there.
Okay, so this is supposed to be a 400 watt amp into 1 ohm. So I've got a 1 ohm load right now hooked up to it. I'm going to take a guess that this is going to make more than 400.
How much voltage do we have going into it?
Well, our battery voltage is set to 14.4.
Okay, so that's the predetermined. When you guys rate an amplifier, you always rate them at 14.4.
Yes.
Let me show you the bank that they have power in this thing, just to give you an idea. These are all the power supplies to make sure that that thing stays exactly where it needs to be while testing. My guess is we can't vary that.
No, you can vary that.
We can vary it?
Yeah.
So we can turn it down?
Of course.
All right, well, let's do the 14.4 test, and then we'll play a little bit. Let's take a look at the graph. So this test is going to be a little bit different than, let's say, an amp dyno test.
Yeah, just a little bit. This kind of plots it out as it'll increase the voltage until it reaches its end of it. And it will plot it of you've got power down here versus your THD ratio. And that's the ratio of the distortion noise. We always rate ours at 1%.
That'd be 1% total harmonic distortion.
Yes. And we call that our criteria of max power. So when you see it cross that, like it just did, that is our max power number. Pull up my little cursor and I'll look for my 1% number.
right around, that's a little over 489 watts at 1.15% distortion.
It starts here, and then the test allows it to ramp up.
Yep.
In real time, that test took about 10 seconds?
Yeah, 10-15 seconds, give or take.
Can we turn the voltage down to, let's say 13, can we do 13.2?
Yes, we can.
Let's do 13.2.
We're just gonna run this test again.
It is actually graphing almost the same.
Yep, it'll keep following this and it'll start deviating here in a moment.
There we go.
We ran our 13.2 test. I'm just gonna go ahead and move my cursors over to also a little high, but this one's making 405-ish watts at 1.19% THD. So we're still above our rate.
Oh, we're totally still above our rated power. Can we take this into like really bad, like 11.5 volts?
Yeah.
So let's take this into a really bad low battery situation. Let's go all the way down to 11.5 volts. Now, if your car is putting out 11.5 volts, you got other issues. But let's just see what the amplifier will do at that. Well, why not, right?
Of course, why not?
We got it set to 11.5 volts.
Yep, let's run that and see what happens.
Still tracking pretty well. Alright, so there you go. That's where it noticed the lack of power there to move it along. I'm gonna guess even at 11.5, it's still putting out a decent amount of power.
Yeah, it seems to be. Let's go check. That's making 303. Again, 1.5% THD.
We've reduced it to well below the recommended power input, and we're still getting 300 watts out of the amplifier.
Exactly.
To recap, at 14.4, we were getting 489.
Yep.
At
11.5, you're getting a 303.
That middle rating of 13.5 was 404 watts, so
yeah,
plenty of power coming out of this amplifier. That's pretty cool. Ian, thank you so much for taking your time and showing us how this all works. Let's keep going and see what else we run into next. So far, we've learned a whole bunch of neat stuff through all the departments that we've visited here in Kicker. But now we're gonna have some fun, as if we haven't had any fun yet, because they just got a new tool, and they're like, hey man, do you wanna play with our new tool? I was like, duh. So they just got an amp dyno. And Joe came up with a wonderful idea to play with the amp dyno. So his idea was, hey, why don't we head into the warehouse, grab 2 random amplifiers that of your choice, of what I wanted, and we'll bring them back and we'll play them on the amp dyno. So we'll unbox them, we'll pull them out. These are, yeah, from the warehouse, you know, where the Ark of the Covenant is stored. So we're gonna head out into the warehouse.
You haven't seen that yet, have you?
The Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That's in a restricted area.
It was over there. It was up in the, it was.
Yeah, okay.
If you go over to install,
They let you see the Ark, huh? I'm surprised.
And if you go, yeah, they're next to the Alma Gate subs.
Yep, that is true.
Yes, they're right there. Anyways, we're gonna head deep into the warehouse. We're gonna grab 2 amplifiers. I want an 801, and I think we're going to do a Q-Class 2-channel. Is that what I decided on?
Yeah, you said 502, I think.
Yeah, I did. No one ever tested 2-channel. I wanted to test a 4-channel, but then we need load resistors for it, and I was like, eh. Anyways, let's stop talking. Let's head deep into the bowels of the campus and grab some cool amplifiers.
Alright, so we're close, I think. Let's see.
So we've been walking for what seems like ever. So we got some red amps over here, silver, yellow,
501.
PXA little guys.
501. Alright, 502.
502. Alright,
box
camera.
one.
Let's go for the back. The open boxes like Fernando.
Which one do you want?
Grab the middle one right there. Grab that one. We got a serial number?
Serial number 91.
With a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, all the numbers, that's build date and factory and stuff. 91, okay.
All right.
All right, we got one.
I see that right there.
Right. We're going Which box we open it?
I'm gonna be difficult.
I'm gonna
Let's
hit
grab
these
that
things
guy.
pretty hard with some low battery volts.
Which one do you want? We'll go for that one.
So you guys keep talking about low
What number's that? 1850. All right, so we have our 2 amplifiers. We're gonna head back and we're gonna go through something you guys don't really get to see much of, which is we're actually gonna show you the setup process for the amp dyno. There's a whole process that never really gets filmed, and we have an assistant that's gonna help us do it. If you guys caught the live show, you might recognize this guy.
Hey guys.
How you been?
Pretty good, how are you?
I'm wonderful. You ready to do these tests?
Oh yeah.
Sign me up.
Here. 801.
Yeah, and my personal favorite at Q-Class.
Hey, Q-Class.
What are we gonna do with these amplifiers when we're done?
Dig 2 boxes.
Of course I did.
If you really want to, maybe you can give them away.
Don't tease. So we're back into the bay where we're gonna be doing the test. Let's go ahead and get these things open and see what comes in the box. This one's burst certificate is 857 watts. All right, that's what we got to beat. 502 came in at 607. Now, even though this is a DSP amplifier, remember, all Q class can be used as a standard amplifier. They have all the regular switches on the end. We're not going to be using the DSP built into this. We're just going to hook it up as a regular 2-channel amplifier. So just like in the lab back home, we have power distribution here, feeding off of, well, they have way more power than we do. We have our signal here. We have our inputs and outputs that we can connect up to the amplifier. And of course, then we have the wiring that's going to go over to the dyno itself. So we have our amplifier all hooked up, and we're going to go ahead and set up our amp dyno.
Our amp's on?
Amp is on.
You're going to go to DD1 plus, track 12. So we're on track 12. Our gain's set to minimum. I'm going to click next. I'm going to go play, turn it to the distortion LED, starts coming on. There, back off 1. That's volume 48. Click next. Turn the amplifier gain up all the way, which, screwdriver. Go all the way.
Yep, you're up all the way. Lights on.
Next, go to track 14. Through track 14, this is your dB overlap. Click next. So it's 20 dB of overlap. Let me know when it says 10.
Keep going. You got 14, 13, 12, 10.
Okay.
Up 1, you're on the border. You're at 9, you're at 9, 10, 11. Oh, I love this part. There you go, perfect, 10. You got 10.
We're gonna kill the audio there, click done. Now our gain's set.
So what this has built into it is the DD1 Plus. We've gone ahead and done the setup process. You have to do the setup process every time. It's one of those things that you just don't show because it is kind of boring. Because I've never seen it, I thought you guys might want to see it. Now are we ready to go?
Yep.
All right, first test we're going to do is a certified test, and we're going to do it at 2 ohm, and we're going to do it at 14.4. Enter, mono.
Ensure the jumper's in place, which it is.
The jumper is in place. Next.
Okay, so click that until you're at 2 ohms.
Okay,
click enter.
Enter.
All right, so it says go to track 4. Track 4 is the 40 hertz tone. Track 9 is the 1K tone.
All right, let's run it. Alright, so that ran us up, gave us our max power at 2 ohm at 14.4, which is 646 watts. We're going to reset and run it at 1 ohm. Wow, so we have 1045 at the 1 ohm that the amplifier is rated for. So we're going to go back, and now because this will go... To answer your question on how much stuff I can fit in my luggage, these 2 amplifiers. I basically got strip searched for it.
Yeah.
I had to throw away the box for the Q class, but the 800, because we were giving it away, I had to bring that box home. But yeah, TSA did not like amplifiers in the suitcase at all. That didn't go over so well. But yeah, I should have bought bigger luggage, I'm not gonna lie.
Next time.
Next time, bro. This will go down to 0.8, it'll go down to 0.6, it'll go down to half. Let's try 0.8 just for something fun. Alright, so we'll cycle this through. Now keep in mind we're still at the 14.4, we'll hit enter, and we'll go ahead and hit start. Alright, so boom.
See it protect itself.
Did it protect itself?
Protected itself, but notice it's not blown up.
So for that one we got 1170. So the amplifier is not made to run at 0.8. It's made to run at 1. I wanted to run it at 0.8 and they were like, yeah, go for it. And the reason why is because the amplifier has protection built into it to prevent it from blowing up. All you have to do is cycle the amplifier, meaning turn remote off to remote back on, and the amplifier is good to go again. Naturally, let's get to go it again, but this time let's drop the voltage down because 14.4 is cool, but most of the time you're in that 13.2, 13.5 range. We can actually dial these things down. We have our voltmeter right here. We're gonna dial down the power. And we're gonna do the test again. So playing with the dials on it, we got it down to 13.27. You know how it is to use one of these things. It's like, so we're close enough. Now we'll go ahead and reset and we'll do the test again. We'll start like we did last time and we'll do 2 ohms, but this time it'll be 13.2. We'll hit enter.
Start.
We'll hit start. And we got 546 watts on that run. And we'll cycle through to the 1 ohm load. We'll hit enter and we'll hit start. Now all we have to do is do over 800 watts. And we've done that. We got 870 watts. Now there's no reason for us to repeat the 0.8 ohm load on it because we know it'll do it, but it's gonna go into protect, so that's okay. I just wanted to see what it would do at that 13.2 load, which is a more normal load. Now since we can vary the voltage, personally, I would like to have some fun with it. So just like when we were doing the AP, we took it way below what it's supposed to do. We can do that with this. So I'm thinking, we're here. What do you think? Drop it down to 11.5?
11.5, we can do that.
We can do that. So we're at 11.6, close to 11.5. Let's just, you know what? Let's just go for the big test of 1 ohm and see what this thing will do. Ooh, 651 watts. Did it go into protection?
No, that's good.
We got good power out of it still. I mean, it's 900 watts, but we're well below what this amplifier should operate at. Because it can, meaning we have buttons and we can press them, and we're gonna put things in the worst case scenario possible. This amplifier should blow up if we do 0.8 at this amount of voltage. I mean, because we're so low below what, I mean, if you've got one, like we said earlier, if you've got this much voltage in your car, you got issues. You got issues that you should not be having amplifiers doing something. But we know that, you know, not everyone pays attention to that stuff. What do you say, 0.8?
Yeah, we can do it.
Let's do 0.8 at 11.6 volts. Ooh, yeah. Because, I mean, after all, everyone wants to see how much power an amplifier can do in the best case scenario. Let's do it in the worst. This is the fun I get to have. Thanks, guys. So we'll cycle through to 0.8. Hit enter. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. We got 726 watts out of it. Is it in protect?
It's not in protection. All right.
It totally handled it?
Yeah.
All right, let's think about it. It's kind of odd because it went in protection when we ran that before at a higher voltage.
This isn't a regulated amplifier though.
So tell me, Mr.
Do you want to know
Engineer.
why? The protection that you're seeing when you're at a legal load is over current protection.
Okay.
Which, how do you get current? Current is a function of impedance and voltage, right?
Gotcha.
So as the voltage lowers, yes, then you don't hit overcurrent protection. Overcurrent protection on this amplifier is set at like 1200 and whatever watts, little over what you saw that you got. And if you go over that, then yes, the amplifier protects itself because you're getting close to the FET output.
So we didn't do that.
No, so you didn't
we
do
didn't
that.
have to worry about
voltage, so yeah, so no protection.
So this is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Because in these lower stop-start or just these smaller battery cars, this amplifier, though it won't put out 800 watts, it's still going to fully function.
The new CX amps, like this one, are all made to work down to about 8.5 volts before they actually shut off, just because of this.
Do you guys want to go lower? I think we should go lower. He's saying 8.5 volts. I see a challenge. Let's challenge it. Let's go all the way down. He said 8.5 volts.
Let's see how far our thing will go.
Let's dial it down to 8.5 volts. We are going to keep it at 1 ohm though, because, you know, I want to bring this amp home. Alright, so we've actually been playing with this for a couple minutes, setting it up, and we found out that we actually can't get the dyno down to 8.5 volts. The lowest we can get it is 9.5 volts. Like I said, we're trying to do the opposite test of what most people do here, because this is real world. We're trying to break it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. They said I could, so I'm gonna try to break it. But we're at 9.5 volts, we're gonna do 1 ohm. So let's get this set up. We have 9.44, let's hit start. And we have 538 watts. I'm assuming it's still fully functional.
Still fully functional. Both the power and protection LEDs are on, but those come on at 10.5 volts just to warn you.
Gotcha.
It doesn't actually shut off till about 8.5 volts.
This is worst case. Like you got a dead cell in your battery at 9.5 volts. The amplifier's still running. It's still handling 1 ohm. It's not on fire on the desk here. I call this a pretty positive test. You good? I mean, you want me to break it, I'll break it.
I don't know if you can.
Alright, you know what? Let's try 0.8. Why not, right? Okay, let's keep going. Alright, so we're at 0.8. We'll hit enter. Alright, we'll hit start. We got 497 watts out of it that time. There again, look at that, 9.36 volts. So now we've had all kinds of fun with doing the worst case scenario possible. Let's go ahead and bring it back up to 13.5, 13.6, and we're gonna do burst mode at 1 ohm and see what we can get out of this thing. I mean, we can do 14.4, but we know it's gonna do great. Like I said, practical application is at 13.5. All right, we're all set. I'm hitting start. The light stopped blinking and we come in at 11.19 in burst mode at 13.4 at 1 ohm. Yeah. Like all good things, there's certain criteria that I must do in order to have the ability to play with these things. And one of them is, even though I don't want to, because it doesn't really matter to me, but it does matter to somebody. We're going to do a 14.4 test and just see how insanely powerful this little guy actually is. We good? All right, let's do it. So we're back into burst. We're at 1 ohm. We have 14.34 volts. And it's going. It's going. Lights, any more lights? They're gonna keep blinking. We're almost there. Boom, we end up with 1283. Now this is just a little silly because it is an 800 watt amp putting out 1283 at 14.4. But I think what we've demonstrated here is that all the way down to 9.5 volts, well up to 14.4 volts, this amplifier is a monster. And it will take a little bit of power and give you power, lots of wattage. And it'll take a lot of power and continue to give you more wattage. And to me, this is one of the things that I've always wanted to do with an amp dyno, is because everyone is always worried about max. Well, this is the real world. Let's do some real world testing. Are you ready to do the Q-Class?
Q-Class amp.
All right, so while we're getting the Q-Class amp wired up, a little bit of history about the Q-Class amplifier. The Q-Class amplifier was actually designed, conceived, and brought out 5 years ago. The technology that's in the new amplifiers that we just tested are a lot better as far as like the power supply and stuff like that. That amplifier, as you can see, it works down to 8.5 volts. That's because of the new stop-start technology and being able to, when the car has to restart, it will actually dip that low so the amplifier can handle that. This is not going to do that. We know that because we've actually installed them in cars with stop-start and we know they shut off. They won't play down that low. How low will they play down to, you think?
10.5 volts or so.
So we know we have a floor there that is the lowest amount of power we can feed into the amplifier. So of course we're going to be doing that. We'll get this guy wired up and we'll do some tests.
A lot of different tires. There's regulated, unregulated, semi-regulated, multi-phase, boost. The CXA is a boost.
So I turned on my camera just as Joe's decided and explained to me the difference between power supplies, because there's a ton of different power supplies. And the reason why we were talking about it is because the Q-Class amplifier, it's a high quality amplifier. They say it's 500 watts. It's supposed to always give you 500 watts, not 550 watts, not 600, not 1,000, 500 watts. So it uses what type of power supply?
It's a 3-phase power supply.
That 3-phase power supply is designed around the concept of just that. It's not going to be susceptible to voltage fluctuations because it's not really caring about that. It's caring about putting out one thing, which is
500 watts.
This test, it's a stereo amplifier, so we're gonna do a stereo test. Like I said, when I picked this amplifier, I want to do a stereo amplifier because no one does those. Why would you want to? And it's not a big amplifier, it's a 2-channel. And what is the 2-channel rating on this at 4 ohm?
4 ohms 125 by 2, 2 ohms 250 by 2.
Did everybody hear that? Let's get started. We've got it all wired up. So for our first test, we're gonna do certified dyno runs just like before. Select our 4 ohm load.
Track 9 is the 1K. We're gonna play track 9.
We got 162 and 161 at 4 ohms at 14.42. So rated power was 125 at 4 ohms. This will do 2 ohm stereo. So naturally, what do we want to run it at?
2 ohm stereo.
Good guess. Let's do that. Start dyno. All right, so we got 269 and 271. So according to the box, we only had to beat 250, and we got 269 and 271. Pretty awesome there. So it's doing its rated power, and we're at 14.38 right now. So we're gonna lower that down to the 13.5, where I would like to see it at, and we'll repeat the test. And we'll select the 2 ohm load. This one's giving us 234 and 236. What did we have the first time at 14.4?
269 and 271.
And what did we have at 13.5?
234 and 236.
So we saw a slight decrease when we lowered the power. However, like I said, this is a different type of power supply. And to answer the question on why it did that, Joe?
So as you can see, you get a slight decrease. Not as much as you saw with like the CXA amplifier, the boost power supply. Regulated 3-phase power supply like this, you're gonna see some decrease in power, but it's gonna be minimal, maybe 10%, 15% of actual rated. You run down the power path before you hit your cutoff voltage, right? The whole goal of the amplifier is to try to pull as much current as possible when the voltage drops to make up for it. The drawback to that is in a car with a small alternator, you keep trying to pull more current, right?
Right.
So when you do an amplifier that's like this, that has a 3-phase power supply, you need to make sure you have good wire, good power, everything to get the most out of these type of amplifiers.
Run 4 gauge copper. Wow, that was an ad.
Way to go, Colin.
If you guys hear like beeping noises and strange noises in the background while we're filming this, we're in Joe's install bay, which is inside the compound, but there's forklifts, as you saw when we were walking through where the Ark of the Covenant is stored. Well, they're moving pallets around outside the building right now, or outside of our little cubicle right here. I apologize for any of that noise. Work must be done, and even though we're having a good time playing, those poor guys aren't. So kudos to them for getting the stuff done, but let's get back to it. 10.5 on this is shut off, meaning it can't go any lower than that. It's just gonna shut the amplifier off. But 11 volts should allow us to still play, which is good because they're again a non-stop start vehicle. At start, could dip down to 11 volts. If you're operating at a low voltage like that, you have other issues, you need to have those fixed. We're gonna select 2 ohms for this test. We're gonna play track 9. We're at 10.97 volts, so we'll hit go. We got 147 and 149. So I'm guessing at that point we really kind of ticked off that amplifier.
A little bit, yeah, you're right at the edge.
One of the things that should be the takeaway here is that we have an 800 watt amp that was doing stellar numbers and going crazy. And it had what you call a boost type power supply.
Yep.
This has a regulated power supply. So there's 2 totally different power supplies and they're acting 2 totally different ways. One of the reasons that I was excited about doing this test is because I was nice enough to have an engineer in the room that can explain to us why these things are doing these things. Because if we're just relying on numbers alone, this amplifier is acting the way it's supposed to act. It's doing what it's designed to do. It's trying to put out the power that it's supposed to be putting out. Now, if we had a clamp on there, what we would have seen is the amperage draw would have went up a lot. Because what it's trying to do is consume more power to put out that power that it said it's supposed to do. Whereas the other amplifier with its boost power supply is just like, it doesn't care. It's like, cool, man. Woohoo, let's make power. Pretty much, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have something you want to say?
Like a million things, but okay. There are advantages and disadvantages to every topology. There's not a perfect topology out there, right? Boost power supplies are great for sub amps, and they're very lenient on the install. Meaning the install might not have the best power, might not have the best ground, might have a small battery. They're still going to continue to play. They might not just make the power.
Which we saw in the test.
Which you saw in the test on the CX-8. Regulated amplifiers will always try to maintain as much power as they can by drawing more current. We say regulated and everybody thinks instantly is only going to make the exact same power all the time, and that's not true because of physics,
the test
right?
just showed.
Yeah, physics won't allow it. So you're going to try to pull as much current as you literally can across your output devices and your power supply to a point. And then once you get past a point, it still sags, right? You can't stop it. But in general, so if you were running this amp between 12.6 and 14.4, you're going to see pretty much 200 to 260 watts all the time.
Which we did.
But if you drop down to almost shut off, the power supply can no longer correct for the poor voltage.
Which is what we just saw there. It's like, this is all you're getting.
Yeah, it's all you're going to get. We can't do any more, right? If we wanted to be really... We used to make regulated amps that were really black and white, which meant once they couldn't pull enough current, they just shut off. Well, of course, to a consumer, then that's not a good experience, right?
Right.
Because my amplifier shut off. Well, there was a reason. You didn't have enough power going to it, but it's a bad experience for the consumer. So regulated power supplies nowadays are what we call semi-regulated. They're regulated to a point, and then they give up, right? And then they just make what they make. Copper-clad aluminum wire, small batteries, bad grounds. These things are really important when it comes to actually really making power.
So the better amplifier you have, the more important it is to have better power wire and a better charging system just to make those things function.
Yes.
Moral to the story.
And always read the resistance to ground when you hook up a ground. Make sure it's good.
So I hope you guys enjoyed us doing a little bit of fun amp dyno. Alright, real quick. So the little booth that was behind Joe there, what those are used for, and you saw a bunch of little speakers sitting on the floor. Kicker makes a ton of OEM speakers for Chevy and Chrysler.
Yep.
Every single speaker that leaves has to be tested. So there's 2 booths, one there behind my shoulder, and then there was the other one where Joe is, and it's these 2 guys' jobs. All they do all day long is have pallets of speakers brought into them, and they literally test every single speaker. Now, all the speakers are supposed to have been tested from the factory, but they don't trust that, so they test them all again. Now, when it comes to the consumer line, I believe it's they still test them, but not as thoroughly. So I think it's 1 or 2 boxes or 1 crate randomly. They'll pull it out when a pallet shows up with speakers,
They just grab any.
They'll
just
randomly do spot checks and test all the speakers there.
That's pretty cool.
But you know, yeah, it's pretty weird. But they audibly test their speakers, and if they have a certain amount, like they'll pull like 10%, and if there's an issue, then they'll pull like 30%, and if there's still an issue, they'll freeze the whole.
Okay.
You know, so they have one of the things they have there is policies on policies on policies. So it's crazy what they do. All right, let's get to the end of this thing. Testing while we're here, and I hope you learned something. I mean, that was really cool. We got to test 2 amplifiers you might not normally see get amp dynoed. Well, on to the next thing. My little homage to Casey Neistat here at the end. Yeah. I wanted to write by on the window, but I knew that was too bad. And there you go, guys.
Thank
that's,
you.
That's what it is. That's what it was, and that's what. Thanks for everyone that decided to come out and watch any part of this tonight. We had a good time. This is actually kind of weird because this is the first time I've actually been able to read the comments in any one of our shows, because normally I'm too busy talking or answering whatever it is you just read to me that I don't get to have fun with you guys in the comments. So keep in mind we did read pretty much everything, and
well, of course. I mean,
it was a lot of fun. You made it interesting.
Thank you for stay tuned with with
Kicker did not pay for my flight for that. No, they paid for the hotel. They have really weird policies about how that all goes down. The whole reason why that happened when it did is, if you remember that group of people, if you were here at the beginning, there was a group of people in a room off to the side. I was supposed to be part of that group, and I'd already done that the previous year. And so when it was time to do it again, I said, hey, listen, I don't want to do that. I really would like to do this. And so it took us a couple months to hammer out the details as far as what I wanted to do, and then get it cleared through all the department heads.
Yeah.
And they really didn't have an idea. Like, they knew what I wanted to do, but they were scared because they've never let anyone come into the place.
Not to do this.
Yeah, and just
because I'm pretty sure they have people coming in, and they show little parts in here.
Well, as we know, they have their own film crew, but it was kind of nerve-wracking for them because, like, for one, it was like, what is this guy gonna do? The nice thing was I was able to do one the previous year on the sly, meaning I just did it and really didn't tell anybody, and they enjoyed that, and they were like, oh, that turned out pretty nice.
That was the first one with the interview with Steve.
Yeah, with Steve Irby.
Yep.
And then I was like, imagine what I could do if you just let me do what I wanted.
Correct.
And so they were like, all right, we'll give it a chance, and we'll see what.
Don't lock the doors.
They just didn't tell everybody because they knew that a lot of people would be nervous.
Yeah.
So.
And they're still nervous.
And they're still nervous. I will say this, a couple funny things that happened to me when I was there. Obviously, I broke my camera. Fernando is the guy who is one of the engineers that wasn't in the video. When we were there, he came in and did the live show, filled in for this Fernando here. He was working from home at the time, so in the morning he and I got together, and outside of Kicker, there's a giant lake you can run around. So him and I ran there the 1.5 miles or 2 miles to Kicker from my hotel. Then we ran around the lake, and then I had to run back to the hotel. And the funny thing was, is he and I were so busy talking, I think it was 1.5 miles. I looked at my watch and I was like, oh crap, I gotta go meet Lori. So then I had to run back to the hotel, top speed, and she was just pulling in as I got there, so I was like, I gotta go get a shower. She's like, yeah, take your time, no problem. And then I of course wanted to get out of there as quick as I could on Thursday morning, I think, so I could get back here and go to work.
Yeah.
Because I'd already missed like 3 days.
I was doing everything on myself.
I know. Okay. So you're man, you and God, you guys are right there with one another, saviors. And so I had the AM flight. There's like 3 flights out of Stillwater. It's a 1-terminal airport. It's freaking hilarious. So I had to leave at 5 o'clock. Well, they had vans for everybody, but not at 5 o'clock. Like, there was no 5 o'clock van to take anyone to the airport. I had scheduled an Uber, and of course, there's no Ubers at 5 o'clock in the morning in Stillwater, Oklahoma either.
Who leaves at 5 in the morning?
And I was to the point where I was like, I was just going to walk to the airport because it was about 4 miles away. So, but I didn't have enough time, so I ended up paying the counter guy at the hotel $20 to drive me to the airport. I was like, look, man, I'll pay, because it was the counter guy and the guy making the breakfast buffet.
Okay.
I said, if one of you guys can drive me to the airport, I got $20 right here. You know, I would have gone as high as 50 at that point. I really didn't care. I just needed to get on the airplane to get the hell out of there.
So the guy said $20 is $20, man.
Yeah, $20 was $20. You know what the funny thing was? The funny thing was he had a Lyft logo on the front of his car. I go, dude, I'm trying to find a ride. You got a Lyft logo right here.
Sorry,
guys.
yeah,
man, I know.
My app is not working.
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. I was like, what the hell? And then the other thing too that I did was pretty fun is they all wanted to go axe throwing, all the group of other people. And I'm like, my shoulders don't work like that. And so Joe, me, his wife, Colin, the gentleman that was working on the amp down, we all went out, and Joe and his wife were playing volleyball. Which there again, we were sitting at a bar playing volleyball, and though I don't drink.
Sand volleyball? Or just
sand volleyball.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And though I don't drink or play volleyball, I enjoy sitting at bars with people that do that. So Colin and I just chilled out and shot the shit and had a good time.
And Joe and
his wife played volleyball, and we
they won?
I have no idea.
I was like,
I have no idea. I was drinking really good ice water. Just woo, man, this stuff's the best. Yeah, it was freaking awesome.
Hey guys, another round for everyone.
Dean actually has a shirt on. Why wouldn't I have a shirt on? Oh, you mean like a 5-star shirt?
Yeah, 5-star shirt.
You'd
like,
think, yeah. I mean, I pretty much design them all.
Giga has been creating great products for years. Yes, you know, it's an amazing manufacturer. Some people, they don't understand. They actually, they put a lot engineering in these products.
The thing is love, hate, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
The whole purpose of these videos, like we've done this one twice. We did AudioControl at the end of last year, so that went up in December. This year, before the COVID happened, we were scheduled to do more. Rockford was on the list. We were supposed to go to Rockford probably last month, I think it was.
Right.
Because I think September was going to be the Rockford trip. We were also supposed to do Amp Global. So they were scheduled. Those were supposed to happen.
Right.
Because there again, the whole idea when I came up with these and pitched them to the manufacturers was I would like to be able to go in and show the people behind the products, to show that
what's behind the door, man.
There's actual people here that do work, that do things, and it's not just a guy in a warehouse. It's a fun. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
Rockford is the top of our list. As soon as this nonsense is over, sometime in 2021,
hopefully.
We hope to get out there. Yep. IDATA is big on the list right now. That's up in Canada, so can't wait to do that. Sound Digital would be nice because it'd be cool to go to Brazil.
I'm not staying. I'm going to friggin' luggage.
Oh yeah, no, you go. I know. Trust me, when we went to AudioControl, it was a total bummer for him because he's a big fan of the Seahawks. But the schedule and like it literally happened.
Everything went like not supposed to.
Yeah, it was we want you to come up now. Can you do it? It's like a week and a half
that was
away.
Like
so it was the
like we have job to do and this and
it was like literally fly up there, do the video, hop on the plane, come back. So it was really a lot of fun. Kicker needs to make some 8Ks and 10K amps, don't they? Anyways, guys, we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you had a fun time. Yes, all those places would be interesting. So once COVID is over, we hope to resume this process of going out to these facilities. I know Kicker will be back in. The thing I'd like to do with Kicker is spend more time with Joe. We'd like to do a show. Joe knows car stereo.
And definitely knows a lot of stuff.
Just, you know, it's like when we were talking about all those different power supplies there, I think just to break that down into categories and spend maybe 15 10-15 minutes just talking about the different
Explaining.
styles of
Yeah.
power supplies.
Yeah.
Well, because there again, most people just assume power supplies are power supplies, and they really don't get how these things work. And one of the reasons, like I said, why we picked those two totally different amplifiers was to show, because everyone gets caught up in the numbers. But why are the numbers the way they are? And if you were paying attention, then the boost power supply versus that three-phase power supply, they acted totally different. And if you didn't know that, then you might be like, oh, that amp sucked because it just did this and then it dropped out. And it was like, it's the way it's supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
So,
don't forget, guys, October, Friday. 23rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standards. It's going to be a nice show. You need to be there. It's going to be a lot of giveaways. So
it's going to be like 118 giveaways at 10 different stations. Make sure you take notes. Take notes. For the love of God, take notes so that you have an opportunity to win the final prize, the mega prize, I think is what they're calling it, or some silliness like that. Stay to the end. You're going to love it. You're going to have a good time. All right, guys, listen. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you so much for tuning in on this. I don't know if we'll ever do it again, but it was fun. You guys have a night. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
October 23rd.